Welcome back, all you cool cats and kittens. It's your Commissioner Tim alongside Co-Commissioner Brandon, and we got our manager Yves for this episode, episode 4 of the 2022 preseason manager interview. Yves, obviously you started off last year on fire, coming out of the gates with a great starter draft. You were a manager that Brandon and I had consistently in the playoff lock-ins, and we always had you in that contender tier all throughout last year. And I think you and Ryan were the only two teams to really not shy away from that tier throughout the season, even dealing with injuries and the death issues. You guys were able to remain when the rest of the league were having issues like that. You guys were able to remain at the top. So, we're going to have plenty of time to talk about your roster today and what you did last year and coming into this season, what your thoughts are. But we'll love to give the opportunity for the rest of the managers at large to get to know a little bit about Yves and your surprising choice of your background today.
Well, so one thing that I think we're gonna I want to I think we need to clear for the first time. My name is actually Yves. Yeah, I put it out there. It's not Yves. Yves.
Perfect. Yves. That's the first time I got to know about that in like 8 years. So
I know. I never correct people. It's just Yves. Yeah, but now that we're getting to know me, getting to know the real me, I'm just gonna, put it out there. Yeah. So let's talk about me. Because I basically when I joined the team or the league, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter to me. I saw it as a challenge. So I saw your post on Instagram one day, and you know what? I was like, yeah, this Canadian boy is going to come in and show them how this shit gets done. So, but before that, I was born in 1978. So I'm old. Yeah, I'll admit it. I'm old. But look how good I look. I mean, fuck, 44. Like, you guys are not going to look anywhere this good at 44. So I'm just putting it out there now. So don't even try. One thing you might not know about me, obviously I'm from Canada. I'm more of a hockey guy, but I figured out how this whole easy football game thing that you guys have going down south of the border. So I figured that out in about 2.5 days. And that's why I was at the top of the league last year. Another thing you guys might not know about me is I almost went to the 1986 Olympics, Summer Olympics. I was going to be on the Canadian swim team. But I broke my ankle, and it's pretty hard to swim with a broken ankle. I don't know if you guys ever tried, but I wouldn't recommend it. Fucked up my dream, so this is where I am today. This is how I'm trying to make a living. It's tough. I don't know if you guys ever heard this expression before, but it's called, a hard way to make an easy living, and this is the life that I'm living.
Wow, that was quite the intro monologue. I love it. All right, just a couple more, you covered a lot of these, but get to know you questions. What do you do?
I'm a purveyor of HR technology. So I have a software company that provides technology for companies to be able to hire amazing talent like me. And so we've been doing this for about 8 years. Got a team of 260 people, and every day is a great day. So no, I've been a founder. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. Started I was 17. I had a GeoCities website, and I sold things on that site, and I made a killing while I was in college. Then I made more websites and sold more things on those websites, and here I am. It's just the path that I've taken. I live in Moncton, New Brunswick. It's probably one of the biggest cities in Canada that no one's heard of. 75,000 people living here.
That's gigantic.
It's gigantic.
Hey man, that is big.
So it's we've got cool stuff like subways.
Nice. I feel like just based on this league, I'm gonna become that's gonna be like my fun facts. Just
yeah, you guys. I have tons of those for you. Yeah. No, I'll send you a list after. I'll send you my Wikipedia page actually. So
I see. Okay, so I see Tim just like cracking up over in his window. I have no idea what the F you guys are talking. Like, I don't get any of the, founder jokes and all this shit. I'm just over here like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Tim's like, Tim can't keep it together. To me, I mean, based on your background, I'm like, whoa, he's got like the Bumble of HR. Is that what he does?
yeah, that's what I do for real.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And as you can see Mina back there, just want to confirm that my wife gave me a hall pass for her this weekend. So I'm good to go. I just need someone to give me a phone number.
Should have gotten that hall pass in August in Vegas. Might be kind of a waste this weekend.
Well, that's why I'm going to Vegas. That's why I'm going to hang out with you guys.
For Mina Kipes.
Yeah. Never say never. All right. What are do you have a favorite drink? I've asked this across everyone. It's harder to fit into this one, but like what is your like drink of choice?
I'm a big green smoothie guy.
Beautiful. All right. That's how you stay so damn good looking, right?
Yeah. That, and I work out, obviously. Can you tell?
Yeah. That's all I got, Tim. I can't do anymore. I think everyone gets it.
Oh man, I can't keep myself together on this. I love this. I don't think I'm gonna edit anything out. This is great. Oh my God. All right. So Yves, you've talked about yeah. I'm trying to come up with a segue for this. It's really hard. All right. So Yves, you've obviously, you've had tremendous success in your career. You've built things on GeoCities and sold stuff. And now climbing up all the ladder, you are the GM of Cupp2Canada, team that finished second last year as you lusciously sort of eat that fried chicken of yours over there.
So I don't know that I've ever seen fried chicken look like a churro.
That's how Canada does it.
Yeah, really. Even the Koreans know how to eat fried chicken better than that.
So Yves, the thought on, you came out of the draft, like I said, on fire. You were slotted to be the most likely to be, a contender all throughout the season. I don't think you dropped below 3 in the power rankings that we had weekly all throughout last year. Maybe there's a week that you dropped to 4, but that was more so for other teams making, big splashes, I think. All throughout that, let's touch on a little bit of the inaugural season at bat in terms of your mentality going into it, coming out of it, and your sort of thoughts, in the mid-season last year and as you sort of wrapped it up.
Sounds good. Well, I mean, I was born a contender, so let's just get that out of the way. I mean, the draft for me was, I didn't want to be first, so I was really actually hoping to be fourth. Like drafting first is actually, it's good in some ways, but it's also a little bit more challenging to just kind of like map out a little bit of what the plan's going to be. So I had a few as I shared my spreadsheets last night with you, Tim, around like just how I was planning it out and looking at, where I was going to slot some of the rookies as part of the draft. And Najee, obviously, I probably drafted him higher than some people might have picked him up, thinking that he might go a little bit later. But I felt really good. Like throughout the draft, I kept reminding, like I kept being surprised that some of the guys were still available when when they would come back to me. There's obviously some guys I wanted. Like I was really high on Derrick Henry still, but I figured that it wasn't going to be even possible for me to get him. I debated between CMC and Mahomes for the first overall pick, but I just figured like the long-term value of like Mahomes versus CMC, and also CMC coming back with some an injured season full of injuries. I just wasn't super confident in him. But no, I was really happy with the draft. Like as soon as I looked at the draft board after it was done and over with, like I felt there was like only a couple of mistakes that I made. One of them that a specific one that I kind of like still, till last night, I still kicked myself in the ass for was Cooper Kupp, because I was debating between Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And again, Cooper Kupp had come off of just an okay season with some injury issues, and Robert Woods been pretty consistent as a wide receiver over the last few years, and so I just figured he was the safer choice. But yeah, so that's the only move that I think, like, obviously hindsight's 2020, and then looking back at it, I was pretty happy with the draft. I looked at all the rosters. I felt like Brandon had a pretty decent roster right out of the gate. So did Ryan. I actually thought that Adams also had a really strong roster, but I felt like I could compete, and so for me, like, what I wanted to do, I was really big on winning the inaugural season. I wanted to be known as the guy who won the first season of this league. Just I don't know, just ego, and also just it's I don't know, it's kind of cool to be the OG. Unfortunately, that's Ryan now, but good for him. Good on him. But yeah, no, I was willing to mortgage my future. So when you sent me the trade offer for Kelsey and D Hopkins, I debated because of their age, and I honestly didn't really understand the value of draft picks enough at that time too, because I only started getting into football about 4 years ago, and I got into some redraft leagues with some another group of American friends, just as a dare more than anything else, to see if I could win. But I really got into it. I love the strategic aspect of it. I actually don't even like doing. I got out of the basketball pools and hockey pools. Like, this season was probably going to be my last hockey pool, just because there's just not as much strategic element to it. Not only with the dynasty format, but the game itself. So I just enjoy it way more. So yeah, so that's so I really wanted to win the first season. I don't think I overly paid for that first trade that we made. Maybe an extra pick that I didn't need to make, and we probably would have still pulled the trigger on it. But other than that, I was pretty happy. Kelsey was huge for me for the year. D Hopkins obviously was a disappointment with the injury, and even when he was playing, he wasn't getting a lot of targets. So, but otherwise, I'm no regrets there.
Yeah, just a quick reminder, because I had the trade up here, was DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelsey being traded away from me over to you in place of Darren Waller, Myles Gaskin, Kenneth Gainwell, 2022 first, 2022 third, and then 2023 first. And yes, that was the first official trade of Cool Cats and Kittens. So even though you didn't get the OG title, at least you got the OG trade as a consolation.
That's a big one right out of the gate too. I remember back then I was like, oh shit, like it was a whole new ball game. That was a big trade. I can't get over the fact that you almost drafted Cooper Kupp. I mean, if you have Cooper Kupp on that roster, even prior to some of these trades, I mean, that's I think you may take it.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, that's the crazy part, right? It's Cooper Kupp went in 8th last year. Ended up being one of the.
Yeah, one round, I think, after Robert Woods. Even he wasn't even that quickly after I drafted Woods.
Yeah,
either.
So it was like a decent late pick with players that you're expecting wide receiver 2 type of sort of numbers if you're picking 7th and 8th. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think how close last season's playoff would have been had you had Cooper Kupp on that roster. I think you would have. Won.
Yeah, I mean that potentially. I mean, you just never know what could happen, but like I think that was part of it. Another thing that you guys mentioned, that I didn't run into too many injury issues when you did your season recap, but I did actually get a couple of injuries that are pretty significant, because the whole season I was feeling you guys were, every week that you were doing recaps, you're like QB2, and so for me, like I wasn't that nervous about it, because I wanted to see like whether I was going to be a contender or not, for sure, to be able to like, because that my season I wasn't in the top of the rankings I was like in the mid tiers for the first few weeks, but then yeah, I picked up Lamar, but I think I only got 1 week out of Lamar, and then he was injured for the rest of the season, so that was pretty devastating for me, given how much I had. Not that I overly paid for him by any means. I'm pretty happy with that trade with Jones and Michael Carter in return. But that was a pretty big loss for me. And then I lost Robert Woods too, who was starting to really heat up, and was in my starting lineup every week. So I lost him, and so those are two. Like I actually think yes, maybe if I had Cooper Kupp, I would have won. But I think if Lamar had not been injured, I also believe I would have won the season, because my only other option was Tua, and Tua shit the bed in the last game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brandon and I, just recalling that season and play, just for, especially the new managers that's here, you started out with obviously Pat Mahomes at the QB1 spot. Your QB2, just with how the draft played out, you were starting Fitzpatrick, who went out that first game. And then from there, for about 4 straight weeks, it was just bad luck after luck. I think you had Jameis Winston in there, he got injured mid-game. Some other players that you wanted to sort of put in and they're shitting the bed. And it was just a matter of you continue to go through waivers. And I think we had Taylor Heineke there, that was sort of starting before you got that trade for Lamar Jackson. Actually, it wasn't even midseason. I think that was close to the trade deadline, that you sort of made that trade.
Yeah, it was about a week before, I think. I tried to make it a bit sooner, but I hadn't been able to really get through Choda, to try to make the move sooner. But I obviously didn't want to talk about it, because it was going to be. I was actually surprised that he moved on it as quickly as he did. But I think I don't know how like invested he was in the league at that point in time, because I think it was challenging for him to keep up with what was going on because of the time zone differences and not being able to watch as many of the games where he was located. But yeah, no, I was trying to make a move. I was looking at making moves actually all season. I was really pushing to make a move for Stafford. So with Adam, I actually at one point offered him Mahomes for Burrow and Stafford, plus Mahomes plus a pick. I think I forget exactly what it was. Because then I was like, that's going to literally fix my QB situation, right? It's going to give me literally a QB that still has some long-term prospect, and then Stafford, who was playing unreal last season. So, but yeah, I couldn't get him couldn't get Adams to pull the trigger on his end. But yeah, so I tried. Like I literally tried like probably from like mid-season till draft. Like I was constantly trying to grab a QB from someone, but wasn't getting too much luck until I made that Lamar move, which I honestly was a bit of a shot in the dark, because I literally did not think he'd go for it.
I know we did this in our preseason kind of breakdowns, but we want to get your interpretation of your own roster. So kind of going through the positions, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, how you feel your roster composition currently is, if you perceive there's any weaknesses or any areas that you want to shore up. Just kind of run through the positions at this point.
Well, as soon as I lost in the finals last season, I looked at my roster and I was like, I honestly, like, I didn't even look. I looked at my roster and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Like, that's literally what was my reaction. But I figured, I took some time off from it, and then coming back, like the season started to heat up when I hit like right in the smack of me, like getting COVID, and I just didn't even have the energy and mojo to think about like planning ahead and stuff for what I was going to do this season. Couple of things I think were catalysts for me around like what I wanted to do, which is I think the draft, the outcome of the draft was actually, part of the reasons that I started to like look at it as like, maybe I got another shot this season. Cause like the draft between Kyle and Sergey could have ended up where like both teams were like kind of like somewhat, like there wasn't like, I saw enough, there was a lot of really great caliber players in that overall pool, but if they both had drafted, in a more balanced approach, I guess, or whatever you want to say, like I think they would have been, both of those teams would have been kind of like very mid-tier, bottom tier potentially, and then that would have left me like with probably a clear. But then when it became even more apparent with Kyle, I think came out of that draft with a little bit more depth and be able to compete essentially pretty much out of the gate. And the obvious ones for me, and then you blew up your team. You just went on the fire sale. And so for me, I was like, okay, I'm up there, but my wide receiver depth was dead because I had no, Robert Woods, OBJ, Devontae, even for what kind of value he's going to have this season moving to Las Vegas. So I think he's still going to be good because he's playing with a quarterback that he's played with before. But I think he's still at risk for his ceiling is still at risk this season to go down a bit. More depth on the team. And so I made the decision after you guys did the video. Actually, you guys pissed me off with the video because you hurt my feelings basically by saying that my team was gonna be, I was gonna basically toil in the wastelands of this league for the next 10 years because everyone was gonna die of a natural causes as soon as the playoffs were done. So I was like, all right, well, if this is the year that I got to go, this is the year that I got to go. So I might as well just fucking go all out and move guys like Najee, because how good is Najee if the rest of his team is dead? So I basically decided to move Najee for also the reason that I'm not sure what the situation is going to be like in Pittsburgh this year. I think he's still a great running back, and he's kind of got a little bit of a hybrid of like Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor. Like he's got that kind of, he's still fast and but I still don't know what Pittsburgh is still a bit of a mystery to me this season. So I was like, I feel like if I can get two good pieces for Najee, then I'll, that gives me the depth that I need to maybe build around. So that was the reasoning behind not the Najee trade. I really wanted an RB and a wide receiver to give me extra depth for him. And then with the rest of the package there, I tried to throw in to add Kamara into the mix as well. Hopefully he doesn't go to jail for being an idiot. But all of those guys that I picked up, I kind of did them as fairly high risk. Like when I picked up McLaurin, Kamara, and Henry not so much because he's just a different beast. Like I feel, and his injury doesn't concern me all that much for his long-term as a long-term value, even though he's up there in age. I still think like he's probably going to get a couple extra years. An elite running back. All three pieces I was getting at higher risk, and in return, sending Najee and then Knox made sense because as soon as he traded away Kyle Pitts, he had no kind of like tight end, like top 5, top 10 tight ends to build around, and tight ends tend to kind of mature a little bit later than a lot of the other players. So Knox at 25 with Allen as his QB, like he's still he not to me, in my opinion, Knox would have been a top 4, top 5 TE last season had he not broken his finger and missed 3 games. Other than that, I still see him in that top 5 in the league.
You kicked off the inaugural season wanting to go all in, and with sort of how the roster sort of played out in the expansion draft or the new manager draft, you sort of felt like there was another shot for you to sort of go all in now. So I feel like you're, pot committed, right? You're in, no draft picks or anything like that. So how do you sort of think about what that sort of entails from a dynasty standpoint? Obviously, your roster that you have today, anyone would be, jealous of come redraft. But looking at the prospects of dynasty, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't think I think I got more mileage than left in the tank with my roster than advertised. So maybe I'm being too overly optimistic there, but I think I can compete even if I didn't make any additional moves today. I still think I can compete for probably the next 2 seasons. Third season would be a stretch, but I feel like it at least could be in the contender. Unless there's some crazy shit that happens this year that with injuries and whatnot. But yeah, so I still feel like I got 2 seasons. And then, so if that's the case, then, that starts to bring in a new rotation of draft picks that will be available. I still have a few moves that I can make in the season 2, where if something happens that it's obvious that I'm not going to be contending, like prior to the draft deadline, like I can probably the trade deadline, like I probably move some guys that some of the contenders may overpay for, because they, as you see in professional sports, a lot of guys will take rental players that they'll overpay for if it means winning a championship. So I might have some guys there that, like, if I don't feel super confident that I'm up there, and then the only thing that could happen for me to not be in the finals is some bad luck or injuries, then I'll probably move some guys. If not, I feel like I can take a shot at it this season. I can take a shot at it next season. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have. I'm going to definitely be hanging out with Brandon for a couple of seasons, probably 24, 25, where we're both talking about knitting, just because we don't have anything else to do other than just watch you guys compete, and we'll look from the outside in and just cheer you guys maybe crush a few dreams along the way. But that's kind of like the only options that, but I feel good about the next 2 years. So we'll see. I still had a couple more moves I want to make. So I don't think you can ever get too much depth in this league. I've learned that from last year, where I did have, that was probably one of the comments you guys made last year, that I had like a ton of depth. And I think I thought I had a ton of depth at the running back position, but wide receiver and my QB situation was pretty light, which is kind of what ended up biting me in the ass in the long run. So I'm trying to make sure to avoid that this season and just have the luxury of plugging in 2-3 guys that at each position, and that I can easily get an average score out of on any given week, any given Sunday.
So we're just kind of wrapping up like this season, looking at, I've heard you say like you're contending this year, and I think everyone agrees with that. Just kind of break down the different positions, like, and where you think they fall relative to the other rosters in this league. So like, for example, I mean, obviously Stafford and Mahomes is one of the premier quarterback duos. Just kind of break to, yeah, sorry. There's that depth we were talking about. Yeah, just like break down position by position, going through where you think you kind of fall.
Well, number one, I mean, I'm winning this year.
All right. Well, there we go.
Yeah. No, I mean, let's talk about that. Yeah. So quarterback, I mean, let's breaking news. There was a trade last night between Kyle and I. Kyle had been harassing me for Lamar for a while, and I was actually getting I was about to file a complaint to the commissioners because it was getting too much. So no, he wanted Lamar because he had a clear weakness there at QB for him to be able to compete. And I was still pissed off at Lamar for fucking his ankle up last season. So he kind of lost, even though like he's still 25 and a handsome young man. I'm just bitter like that. I was like, you know what, you fucked me, you go. And it was an opportunity for me to grab someone that I wanted last season that I kind of didn't get a chance to, that I messed up on. And so it was to rectify the only mistake I made in my life, which is not drafting Cooper Kupp. But it'll be the last mistake I've ever make. So picking up Cooper Kupp for Lamar seemed like a fairly good trade, but I wanted to. I'm actually never a big fan of doing just single trades. I feel like just swapping two guys. Like, I don't know. To me, it's kind of boring. I like to make trades that kind of shifts the tides of the leagues or makes everyone kind of have to rethink. So it's very rare that you'll see me do just here's a swap for like this person, or except when I just dump off Firemouth for Brandon Ayuk to Tim, because if you really wanted him, and so I guess I figured I'd give him a favor to myself. But yeah, no. So like the trade with Kyle last night, I think fills in that quarterback gap that he has. And obviously I lose a little bit of long-term value at the QB position. But I feel like Matt Stafford, as long as he's got Cooper Cup to throw the ball at, like that duo is going to be good for the next 2 or 3 seasons, barring any injuries. Mahomes will take a miracle for me to trade him. So put that on your notes there, Tim. So you can stop messaging me every 2 days about him. But Mahomes, is going to be someone that is going to be on my roster until he dies or until I die, whichever happens first. That's 50-50, who knows. But so quarterback, I feel pretty good. I brought back Tua only because I wanted I didn't feel comfortable having Tannehill, who was 33, and Stafford is 34. Tua is also kind of a fun kind of play, like it's low risk, where it's like if it plays out with Tyreek Hill and Waddle in Miami, if it actually and he doesn't have all the distractions of Watson showing his penis to everyone this season. Those things together might actually be a surprise hit for me. Running back, I think I got a little bit of luxury there. That's why I was able to move Jacobs last night. I felt comfortable moving him. Because probably at flex would be at most the only place I would start him unless Kamara goes to jail. And then wide receiver, Cooper Cup is obviously he's a little bit up there in age, but he's a much safer bet than McLaurin. McLaurin, I think, is solid. Like I think he's playing with the best quarterback that he's ever played with this season. Like he's had a string of shitty quarterbacks since he's been playing in Washington. So I think he'll do well this season. I feel like McLaurin will do well, but Cooper Cup is just a locked-in guarantee for me. So with those moves that I made, I feel pretty good about where I am this season.
So I think I probably already know the answer to at least which team will be winning it all this year, in your opinion. But what are your expectations for the end of this season's standings?
Well, let's talk about the other 7 teams. Obviously, no point in talking about my team anymore. So I would say it's going to be potentially a rematch of last season in the finals. I feel like Ryan's a silent assassin. Like he doesn't make a lot of moves. He's not very active. I don't even know if he's human. He might actually be AI. But like the moves he makes are always well calculated. They're well thought out. It's funny because I saw his roster last year and I thought his roster was overrated. And every week he was still, pulling in the W's. And so I still feel that, in the finals, he made some really solid moves in the final. I forget he picked up, I forget what his name was. He picked up some dude on the Chargers that ended up having like a massive week, like 35 points or something. And I think that actually pushed him over the edge and gave him the W and gave him that fancy ring that I'll never get to wear in bed with my wife. So I'm pretty jealous about the ring because Tim mentioned there's only going to be ever one ring. So I expect though that there'll be a diamond chain this year with my team name, and my name here.
We're just getting ice going forward. We're just all gonna get iced out.
Yeah, every season, Tim, and it's got to come out of your pocket.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm hoping that instead of a ring, there'll be a chain. Because then that way, when I walk on the beach shirtless, for the ladies, the bling will draw some attention. But league rankings. Ryan's going to be up there. Tim's team is scary as fuck. Like I'll be honest, like I don't want to admit that I'm scared of it. I'm not scared of shit, but Tim's team is a little bit for the long term. It's like I kind of feel like this is what the future of this league is going to be. Everyone's going to compete with Tim for 5 years after I win this season, but after that, everyone's going competing with Tim for about 5 years. And then by the time 2028 hits, Brandon, you should have a pretty competitive team. So then everyone's going to be competing with you for the next 5 years. So it's going to be between the two of you guys, really. So for the next 10 years. So that's my prediction for both your teams. I think Half Chubb definitely is in the mid tier. Like he could potentially squeeze in. He's got to make some moves this year. Like I don't know. I was expecting him to be more active in the off season. I tried to make a couple moves, but I understand like he definitely wants to build his roster around Herbert, which makes a ton of sense. But I feel like he still needs. He's still he's also in the same boat as me, where he's got doesn't have a ton of young talent, so we're both going to be in the retirement home soon. And then you've got Kyle, who's an asshole, and obviously bullied Sergey during the draft. I apologize for that, Sergey. So I hope that when we all hang out at in Vegas, that you like elbow him in the ribs or something while we're out having some drinks. But no, Kyle definitely knows his shit. He's been running the leagues for a while, so I'm not surprised they went into the draft. Feel pretty prepared. And also Kyle is pretty frugal with his money, so it doesn't surprise me that he didn't spend a lot of money on a lot of guys that I thought he would spend more money on. Him and his wife like still split the bill on the bag of Doritos. So I feel like I'm not shocked that he actually had money left, and he probably like thought he could put that in the bank afterwards at the end of the draft. Like that's what I feel like.
Tim was supposed to pay him out on that, wasn't he? Pretty
Something.
sure Tim's supposed to pay that out.
Oh, is that how it worked?
Yeah, you got to pay that out in real dollars, American dollars, not Canadian dollars.
I'll pay from the $5 US that I got from you during the draft bets.
You got 10, but you're lucky I'm honest. So Kyle, and then Sergey, man, I like Sergey. I feel like he's going to be great for the league. He's got I haven't had a chance to really trade with him because he pissed me off because he made fun of Cordarrelle Patterson, which is the best $6 I've ever spent. And I know he's doing it because he's jealous, but he was basically telling me that Patterson is going to be wearing diapers at the end of the season. And that hurts because I'm wearing diapers right now and it's not cool. And I think it was very, very uncalled for. But I'll probably look at making some moves with him at some point this season. I look forward to meeting him in person so you can see this 6'5" frame in person and know that I'm not to be messed with.
Is that the email that's sitting in the HR email right now? Is that what that's referring to? The diaper comment?
There's a few. That's one of the emails. Just look at the subject line. Yeah, they're all. It's in the subject line. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing one team. Oh, Travis, who just joined us. I like Travis. He's a good person. Travis came in a little bit different circumstances. Obviously, I saw when I talked to Travis about joining the league, and I basically sold it on the roster that Adams had, and Adams had I think a decent roster, but I think he was going to be in the mid tiers regardless. But he did have at least a great starting roster for anyone joining the league. All his picks were there, but I was surprised by how quickly Travis moved on as soon as he joined. I think it was 8 minutes after he accepted the invite that he traded Pitts away. But I'm not surprised because I'm pretty sure Tim basically said the only way I'm letting you into this league is if you trade me Pitts. So that's I feel bad for him that he was bullied to trade away Pitts to Tim. But he's a smart guy. He knows his football. He's never really done dynasty before, so I think he's gonna ramp up quickly. So I think some of the moves are going to start to make more sense. But as far as ranking goes, I think it's in line with what you guys kind of did during the off season, except for me winning it all. But everything else seems to be pretty accurate.
I mean, you've made some savvy moves in the off season. You entered, I mean, keep in mind, right? Like just making sure that we got the timelines correct. Brandon and I did that before any of your off season moves that you made. And I think all the moves that you made since is becoming even more of a fire team for this year, right? In terms of the firepower that you have. And you think it's going to be competitive for the next 2 years as well. So I think it's, you know, it's a contender tier for sure.
Thanks.
Yves, this has been a fucking joy. I don't think people who listen to our video on just audio only are gonna sort of catch just how much we were just laughing and trying to control our emotions during this. But man, everything from you joining this video with Mina Kimes in the background, you trying to kiss her. I was just wondering what the hell you're doing, and then it caught me the second time you're doing it. I'm like, oh my god. So just appreciate all that stuff. It's been, oh my God, it's been so fun just sort of chatting with you on this call. So thanks for joining. I'm excited for what your season comes up. And I'm also very thankful that you were able to make the moves to be able to come out to Vegas this year. Just for the rest of the league, you obviously had, you know, family obligations on that Saturday that we were playing on the draft, but appreciate you willing to get on a 5 a.m. flight on Sunday after that to fly out to Vegas and get here by, you know, around before noon or so. So we should be able to have a kickoff with our draft in August in person with all of us. All 3 Canadians are coming over. I think the only person right now we got to make sure is Ryan, but that's obviously got baby duties. But I think it's going to be a really cool experience, and I appreciate you making the time for this call and also coming out to Vegas.
Yeah, I'm excited to go to Vegas. I haven't gotten out of this fucking province or this country in like almost 3 years, and I'm going to go insane, as you can tell. And so I'm looking forward to spending thousands of dollars to go there and just hit the auto pick button.
Well, at least you have more than one pick now, so it should be good.
Yeah, should be good.
All right, man. We'll sign off here. Yves, thanks so much, man.